anything that you have to portray a story or an experience with your product. Having a hot chocolate on its own is not enough, or having a great piece of chocolate is not enough. You might remember that, but you're going to more remember the conversation you had with your friend, the environment, the service that you received. We remember experiences. So I think that's something that we've really concentrated in trying to create, is when you walk through the store, you have an experience.
Okay, well, Marcus, thank you so much for joining me for the next episode of Be The Drop. Yeah. It's an absolute pleasure to be here amongst all the chocolate. And we're at Red Cacao, but before we get into too much about where we are and what you do, I'd love for you to introduce your item of significance, and that's something that connects you with your community.
Yep, correct. So yeah, I brought along a spatula, which is a cranked handle spatula. So I use one of these daily. All the time, and it's one of those items that for myself as a chef and pastry chef chocolatier, I can't go without. So it has a bit of a story behind the fact that this is my first one. I've always had this with me since a young age, and I do remember one of my teachers, or someone I was inspired by, when he was teaching, his skill with a spatula was just incredible, and that had me as a young chef just in awe. But that dedication and that sort of inspiring to get it right is definitely something that I hold dear to myself, and I think that reflects throughout all of the products as well here.
So for you, what was that thing that drew you to chocolate and, you know, being a pastry chef? Like, what's that come from?
The fascination with chocolate, besides its taste, is it's so technical and it's so precise to work with, that actually attracted me to actually, you know, pursuing a career within it and opening the business in it as well. It's not something that anyone can just pick up and do. You've really got to be patient, caring, and nurturing to the product as well, and that's something I really enjoy about pastry and chocolate making in particular. Yeah.
So how long have you had the business?
Yep. Here, this shop is now 4 years old. We did start prior to that, roughly about 6 months worth of markets as well. So Adelaide Hills farmers markets and little markets here and there, sort of just getting the feelers out, seeing what was possible and what the reception was to our products.
Yeah.
And then, just said it was going well, looked for a location, and 4 years, here we are.
Yeah, and obviously they're doing it well. You know, you've gone overseas and you've spent time, you've invested a lot of time and energy. So it wasn't just, it hasn't just been the 4 years in business.
No.
It's been, you know, the years of training before that. So, you know, is there some, like, you talked about the complication and then the sophistication around chocolate.
Yeah.
You know, what is it that really drives you to keep going in business? Because business is hard, and starting a new business is very challenging. So, you know, what keeps you going in that?
I haven't done any business courses. I've got no management skill sets or anything like that. I've purely been in kitchens. So it was a massive learning curve for me, like huge. And that's where it started. I chose to spot a small little location. I thought, you know, I'll just sell 1 or 2 truffles a day and I'll be out the back making chocolates, and that'll be good fun. Very quickly it turned into being popular, which was great, but it suddenly meant that, you know, there was staff to employ, there was payroll, there was, you know, looking after marketing, new products, all of these other things started coming into play. So it's been a huge learning curve. It's been 4 years where I felt like I'm running behind the 8 ball the whole time, trying to get those skills, trying to catch up. So in all of that, I still think that the product, if it sings true and holds true, it'll still shine through no matter else what happens as well, and that sort of reflects now in the business as well. So.
Yeah, so for you, that central passion and focus has always been about the chocolate.
Product, the chocolate, and if we can do that well, everything else will follow.
Yeah. Something else interesting you said there was it's really important to be connected and passionate and in tune with the community.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit more about your community, you know, and how you connect with them?
Yeah, definitely. I think like having the coffee and the cafe side of what we do here really involves the community in us as well. So the original concept was to just have a chocolate shop, so just sell chocolates, no coffee. And it's been a great move to include the cafe side of it because it brings people in and we become a meeting spot, we become a hub. The community is everything in essentially. Like people, of course, when we opened in Stirling said, well, Harndorf, why are you not in Harndorf? Harndorf's great, but it's a tourist trade and that's always transient. We wanted to be there for the local community, and that's the decision as well to go to Stirling. You can have somebody in here every day having a coffee rather than one person on the weekend. The community for us is important. We interact with it in whatever way we can. So we'll host events, we'll include artists or local groups or support sports groups. Whatever's on the area, we want to get behind it as well.
And you mentioned that experience and bringing people here to have a hub and a social connection. What do you think that adds to your business as well as, obviously that's an experience for your customers. How does that work into your business?
Anything that you have to portray a story or an experience with the product, having a hot chocolate on its own is not enough, or having a great piece of chocolate is not enough. You might remember that, but you're going to more remember the conversation you had with your friend, the environment, the service that you received. They all underline or underlay with the product. So you can't. We remember experiences. So I think that's something that we've really concentrated on trying to create, is when you walk through the store, you have an experience.
Yeah, and your staff are always incredibly attentive. And, I know, and you're greeted with, you get a sample of something and things like that. Have you spent a lot of time working on that? Because, you said yourself you hadn't got business experience. So how do you know to train staff?
I don't.
Well, you're doing a good job.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things. I think if your life depends on it, you do it. So you learn quick. But it was passion. I've had fine dining experience. That's where I cooked as a pastry chef in fine dining restaurants. So the service was always 3-star, 5-star, whichever star system you go by. That you had to be spot on. I've never been to serve a customer before opening here. So that was a huge shock as well. I'm in the kitchens, I make chocolate, and opening up the doors here meant that I had to go out to a customer and talk to them about the menu or serve them. I think that it stemmed then though that they were talking to the chocolatier, that if they had a question I could answer it. It was a huge benefit, I think, and as it grew it just meant that our hours just blew out. So I'd make the chocolate through the night and then open up in the morning and then work the whole day through serving all the customers. Now at the end of the day, start making the chocolate again. So it was some very hard, long days in that sort of 2 years ago period there.
Yeah.
But you do those things, and if you're passionate about what you're doing, and for me, seeing the customer the next day and them smiling and enjoying the product was huge. And I think that's something as a chef or in the back of house, you sometimes miss. You miss to see what the reaction is to a customer. You put all this time and effort into making a product, but to receive that feedback directly from a customer is really rewarding. So I found that really great.
Then, if you've brought all these people in and they're having those experiences, and so there is that mix, because obviously you're a chocolatier, but you've created a cafe as well. So, how do you motivate and inspire them to move beyond just coffee and ensure that the chocolate is part of that conversation and part of that experience as well?
It's always about chocolate. So the menu is around chocolate. We've got hot chocolates, we've got chocolate and coffee matching. This is something that was a brainchild way back then. It's since popped up at other locations, but we did it because I didn't want anyone to come in here and not have chocolate. So they have to experience chocolate as they come through here. It's why you get a little bit of chocolate to start with. It's why you get some chocolate on the side of your hot chocolate, or whatever you're going to enjoy here will include chocolate. And that's been sort of the basis of what we've come from. And the menu's still only sweets. There's no savoury options on there at all. We now carry a couple, but it's not written on the menu. So that's about being flexible in business. You do have to listen to your customers, and if they're here at lunchtime and they would like something savoury, we now offer it.
And do you think, as small business, that's, one of the benefits, because you actually get to expose yourself to the different aspects of a business, and you can really craft and shape that? Yeah,
definitely. I think one of the strengths of us is that we did start so small and started with nothing. So it was off my own back. There's no investments, there's no extra help financially. So I started doing everything, which means that I have a really good understanding of what's going on. So I know right now what the kitchen hand's doing. and how long it should take and how I want it to be completed. And I know that of every single section. So that means that expectations or what you can see from staff is really clear because we've done it, we've been there. And we also respect and understand them. I think the worst is if you've got a manager or an owner that doesn't know how it is to mop the floor. Yeah, delegation was a big thing to learn as well. Like it's one of those things, I mopped the floor here for 2.5 years. I wouldn't let that go because I knew I could do it the best. I could do it better than everyone else. And you try and teach someone and you see them struggling and you're like, well, it's just, I'll do it because it's quicker, it's faster, it's better. To then try and hand that over and then spend the time to teach somebody to do it. Once I learned that, I started doing it everywhere. And so suddenly I became more and more free from different sections and built up to being able to sort of oversee, and that meant the business could grow. Whereas otherwise you are always just going around in circles. And I was going crazy. We were working 20 hours a day sort of thing, and you can't, that would then kill the business eventually. We would have to just say that's it, I'm out sort of thing, or we start to spread that knowledge.
Now we've talked a bit about being part of the community and growing and sharing those stories. How do you go about that? What is your communication methods and what really works as far as growing the business messages?
Word of mouth is still number one. It's key. It's having consistent staff allows a customer come through, they might speak to that person, then when they come back the same person's there, so the story can continue. So that same conversation that was had can grow, and then that'll be communicated to more people, and that's I think where we as a hub of the community come into it. What we've tried to develop now, since I'm not on the floor every day, is that the staff have got somewhere to go with that information, so that they don't just receive it from a customer and then not pass it on, but we'll document it so then they can write it down. So if the customer's got a suggestion or if there's an idea or something that can actually that whole process can continue as well. And being quick to respond, I think as well. Like you need to be able to not just let things go. If someone's talking about something, it's because it's important to them. And you need to respect that as well. In the end, they're our customers, and without our customers, we don't have a business. So they are always right.
So it's that real quick communication backflow.
Like social media was, again, something that I sort of took that on as my thing and built it again from nothing. I don't have a lot of knowledge around it. And it was just, then going to some sessions and groups and learning about, when should you post, how should you post, what should you post, and just incorporating that into it and just seeing what works and what doesn't and letting it grow. I think as a young business, it was easier in a lot of senses because there wasn't any pressure. You were brand new, no one really knew you, you were still growing. Whereas the renovations we've done now, there's a whole lot more pressure on, and what we post now, there's a whole lot more pressure to get it right because we're now established and people actually know us, actually recognise us, people actually travel to us from interstate. It's like, well, now you've got to be more aware of what we're doing as well. So, but in saying that, I think there should always be a bit of a fun, funky, quirky element.
That's how you make it human, that's because the digital can be that sort of the barrier, but it's about how you bridge that and make it human and have that connection. Because certainly when you come into the store, there's definitely that customer service level there and the interaction. So I suppose it's how you replicate that then on social.
Correct, and that's a really good point that you touched on. So an online shop, we've been working on this for a long time, but we don't want to start it until we can be sure that we can deliver the same sort of experience through an online experience as you would as you come in here. Same with the Facebook. It's it's an instant turnaround. So if someone asks a question, we're going to respond straight away. So because that's what we do in house. So the experience should be the same across all platforms. And it's the social media or websites or however they're interacting with us. We want to make sure that stands there. So until we know we can do something right, we won't start. So I think that just keeps the bar high.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Marcus. But to conclude, I was wondering if you could please share with me your Be the Drop tip. So that's your top communication tip.
We've been invited to different local groups in the past, and they've actually been huge success. Within the week following, you'll see all of those people coming through the shop because they are meeting you, and people still, you buy from a person. You don't buy from the shop front. You don't buy from the cake fridge. You buy because you know it's Marcus. and so I have to be out there, and that's, I think, again, you're the face of it. So any events, any extra things that happen within it, it'll be myself that goes and represents that. So, and it's not just enough just to send a bag of chocolates and say, good luck, ruffle that off. It's about actually then going and representing in that event and being there and showing your support for what they do as well.
So really showing up and being proactive in the community.
In the community, yeah. That's something which, now we're sort of settling it out a bit, I've got time to do.
Yeah, well, you're not working 20 hours.
Exactly.
It's hard to fit that in 4. You've got to sleep sometime.
Yeah, that's it. So, yeah, but that's, I think, for me, still probably the best way of going about it.
Yeah. Great!
Yeah.